So my name is Natalia Gozdur. I'm a city project manager at EIT Urban Mobility. Thank you all for joining. Let me guide you through the agenda of this webinar, so you know what to expect over the next hour. So we will start off with an overview of the main features of the call. If some of you joined us yesterday, then maybe you already know some of that information, but I wanted to make sure if someone is new today, joining us for the first time, that you understand all the main feature of the call, who can apply, the timeline, etc. Then we will go to the most exciting part of today's session, which are the city challenges explained by the city representatives themselves. So we will count with the city of Aarhus, Belgrade, Greater Manchester, Mannheim, Podgorica, Poznań, and Torridge. So just to remind you, again, we will address your challenges at the end. There will be specific time. Feel free to ask your question. Don't forget to add the city name. That's important for us to address them later on. So now we will move into the call overview. So what's RAPTOR? So RAPTOR stands for Rapid Application for Transport. It's a city-driven, challenge-based, and agile innovation program of EIT Urban Mobility. RAPTOR aims to connect city mobility challenges with innovation coming from startups. Awarded startups receive 40,000 euros and have 6 months to develop and test their solution through in-situ demonstration. So that's the core of the program. Since 2021, RAPTOR has piloted 44 innovative solutions in 36 cities, now new 15 cities coming in this edition. In the past edition, we received more than 500 applications from startups across Europe, and now we are waiting for many more. And let me now get into the specific objective for each of the parts involved in the RAPTOR program. So for the cities, the program facilitated a testing of innovative solution in a real-life environment before they commit to larger scale investments. So it's a great opportunity to learn what works and evaluate the potential of the solution to address the city challenge. For the startups and SMEs, RAPTORs offer opportunity to showcase their innovative solution, obviously access some financial support, and tailor the solutions to the market needs. So in this case, to the city needs. For EIT Urban Mobility, RAPTOR is a mechanism to accelerate the transition to sustainable urban mobility and scale impactful innovation at the EU level. So basically, RAPTOR aims to support developing a new or significantly improve the existing product to solve the city challenge. And now let's see who can apply to the RAPTOR call for proposals. So RAPTOR call is targeted at startups and SMEs that are registered in either EU member state or a third country associated to Horizon Europe, including the United Kingdom and Switzerland. This call is addressed to a single legal entities, so consortia are not allowed. It is also a condition for companies that they cannot be funded in 2024 RAPTOR program or SME market expansion call. So if you already worked with us this year, you will need to wait and apply in the future. But this year, the startups that already got funding from us will not be eligible. Also, if you received funding in the previous year for the same product, you won't be eligible for this call. Participants needs to be registered on the EU funding and tender portal. We got more explanation on that yesterday. We held an information session where we explained in detail all the process of application, all the requirements. So I would also like to refer you to that recording from yesterday's session that is now available on the EIT Urban Mobility RAPTOR website. So please go there. If you have any questions, you can always come back to us and ask. But I will not get into the details today. And last but not least, obviously, participants or applicants must respond to the city challenge defined by the RAPTOR program. It's very important. So submissions to multiple challenges are allowed, but only one award per applicant can be given. So the startup can win only one city challenge. Then if you comply with those, then you can apply via NetSuite platform. Please remember, this is our platform. It's new this year. And we also have all the steps explained in the video recording from the yesterday's session. Why to participate in RAPTOR? So why should startups and SMEs participate? It's a great opportunity to collaborate directly with the city stakeholders, to adjust your solution for their mobility challenge, for their specific needs. Obviously received funding for that, 40,000 euros, and with all the support that we give to develop and test your solution. It's a good way to showcase your innovation in the pilot project, gaining recognition and potential for scale up across Europe. And basically, it's a great opportunity to contribute to making cities more sustainable and livable. Very quick overview of the call timeline. Just to remind you, we've launched the call on the 12th of December, and it is open until 12th of February. So we have some time, but please do not wait until the last moment to apply. And once the call is closed, we will have 2 phases of evaluation process. First, there is a quality evaluation, and then in April, we will have the top startup selected go into panel hearings. We will have 1 panel hearing per city. In May, the contracting process will take place with the winners. And we aim to start the project in the June 1st up to November 30th. So please always remember to refer to call manual, which is where all the basis of the program and all the criteria are described. It is available on the EIT Urban Mobility RAPTOR call website. If you have any doubts, you can always reach out to us. And now let's move on to the most exciting part of the RAPTOR. So the city challenges. Today we have representatives from 7 cities with us to explain their city challenges firsthand. Very happy to have city representatives today with us. And we will start with the first presentation by Gustav from Aarhus. Gustav, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much and welcome everybody. My name is Gustav Friis. I work at the city of Aarhus in Denmark. We are the 2nd largest city in Denmark, only next to Copenhagen, and has currently around 370,000 inhabitants. But we're also a big municipality, and all of it is not the city, of course. And normally when we are talking about parking, we are talking about parking in the city of Aarhus. And the challenge that we've brought to you today is related to accessible parking, or parking actually for disabled people or people with disabilities. And it's regarding the city center. So our challenge is that we don't know much about the use of these dedicated parking spaces for people with disabilities. In Denmark, the rules is, as probably many other places, that you need a card to have permission to park at these spots. And we are also, as a municipality, creating spots when we have the demand for them. But then the spots are just out there in the city, the parking spaces for people with disabilities, and we don't know much about the use of them. And in a busy city like Aarhus, which is constantly growing, it can be a struggle to find the right amount of parking spaces in general, and having something being idle, like parking spaces for disabled person, it can create some controversy, and also, of course, the lack of enough parking spaces for people with disabilities is also a challenge. So yeah, what we want to obtain with giving out this challenge and hopefully get a lot of good solutions is to find these innovative solutions to develop a functional and efficient system for managing accessible disabled parking. The ideal solution, and now I'm just reading from the slides, would address the need for accurate real-time data on the usage of accessible disabled parking spaces and support user-friendly availability notifications and provide insights to optimize curbside management while ensuring inclusivity. That's also a very big word for us, inclusivity or just transitions, as we are all working towards. So the goal is really to support the daily mobility needs of people with disabilities by creating a reliable and accessible parking environment that balances both the operational feasibility with equity for all residents. And of course, it also benefits the city of Aarhus. That's why we are doing this challenge, is also to get more knowledge on how we can manage these parking spaces in the best possible way and how we can ensure that supply and demand side are responding to each other. So we haven't really said anything about the solution, how it should be innovative. We've just asked for an innovative solutions, and we think that you guys here are more creative than we are. So we believe that we can get a lot of different ideas for solutions on how we can get more knowledge on the use of the parking spaces for people with disabilities. I don't remember if I have another slide. If I do, please click next.
There was something. No, is the next slide. Then yeah, we are going to the next city then. But thank you, Gustav. And again, we might have questions from our participants. So if you have a specific question or you want to know something additional, Gustav is here for the whole session to address your challenges. And at the end, we can make sure we have answers for your questions. So thank you, Gustav, very much for your quick presentation. Very important challenge. Hopefully we can get some good solutions. And now we will travel to Serbia, Belgrade, and Dalibor and Ongien, sorry for my pronunciation, are here with us today representing the city and to give us a bit more of information about their challenge. So please go ahead.
Yes, and hello everybody. So Dalibor Ignatic speaking. So I'm from Naive. I'm representing today my colleague, so that is also connected to this meeting, but have some, I would say, issue with the I would say noise. So I will support Ognjen Todorovic. So he's head of department for urban mobility at the Secretariat of Transport of the city of Belgrade. So as an introduction, so what we can say about Belgrade. So Belgrade is the capital of Serbia. So and here today we are most dedicated to a part of Belgrade that is actually Belgrade waterfront. So it's a part of the city that has been developed along the Sava River as a major city project. Our challenge here actually is to improve safety and user experience, so for pedestrian, cyclists, and also e-scooter, so pedestrian and micromobility actually in this area. What we can say about pedestrian represent around 55% of the city movements, and micromobility is 1% in the city. But if we consider this area is specifically, I would say, higher because it's very dedicated to this micromobility and pedestrian, I would say, area. Yes, thank you. What we have today, so as I mentioned before, so we are here to improve the safety for pedestrian and micromobility on the Belgrade waterfront promenade. So the idea is to have some kind of real-time monitoring that will enable proactive management of traffic flow and behavior. So solution is real time or near real time data on pedestrians, cyclists, and micromobility to inform them about some issue. It's to provide also tools to influence user behavior dynamically, engage citizens through awareness campaigns to foster responsibility of shared space, and offer a clear, scalable roadmap for implementing similar solution citywide. So the idea is to start with this pilot project in this area of Belgrade, so Belgrade waterfront, and also to have this scalability to propose this replicability, to the city of Belgrade and other cities in Serbia. The idea is also to support to support active mobility. So it's not to have some kind of repression about micromobility and the solution representing micromobility. So what we need is solution that would draw the attention of cyclists and the scooters. And for example, to inform them about using the wrong surface. Like this, so we want just to improve the safety for all user and all active mobility in this part of the city, and make it a better experience for everyone. So just as the final slide, this is some kind of information about the stakeholders of this project, and also the city support that will need it during this project. And regarding the budget, this is something that we just clarify here. So there is no specific allocation of budget right now. So it's really depending on the pilot project that we will realize, and if it is a success, of course, it will be considered as something to consider in the budget. So thank you. This is for the city of Belgrade.
Again, exciting challenge. Let's see what we can get from our startups and SMEs. So now we are going to Greater Manchester. So Samli will now explain us more about the Greater Manchester challenge. Sam, please, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Sam Lee. I'm the Senior Innovation Officer at Transport for Greater Manchester. Just a bit of context for Greater Manchester. The region's a rapidly growing region with 2.8 million people. A lot of young and tech sectors are growing in the region. But what's most important is the fact that we are the first region outside of London to be taking control of our buses and various other sustainable public transport services. And what we are aiming to do is how do we transition people from a very car-centric consideration into utilizing these sustainable transport to achieve our net zero objective of carbon neutral by 2038. So it's a privilege actually for me to be here today to set out this challenge. And what we really want to do is how can Greater Manchester leverage data to help us make decision and enhance kind of the efficiency of these operations, the personal safety of the customer, and sustainability of a multimodal transport network. I think historically, when we try and tackle these problems, we build new infrastructure to enable that. But we want to see, well, what data can we get and what digital intervention we can utilize, to support some of the long-term aspirations that we have. And you can see that branding is a key part of our agenda, that seamless customer journey with the B at the very center of it as the worker P of the city region. Next slide, please. So when I talk about the city challenges, we've been thinking about, well, what does good look like? And I think that what good looks like is about developing a series of tools and capabilities that allows us to translate policy objectives or strategic objectives into kind of digital interventions, where there not is a campaign to influence and incentivize travel behavior in a sustainable way, where there not is information for passenger information. We need that digital core to support us. And the objective really is what you can see in the diagram on the on the right, where currently we have 61% of people driving around our city region. For us to effectively transition to net zero, we need more than 50% of people using public and active transport across the region. And to do that is either using digital services to improve our operation to provide a more reliable service, or other innovative solutions that really tackle some of the core problems and perception people have around safety. So some of the use cases we're kind of keen to explore with partners around how can we analyze impact of various traffic management interventions and policies when they come into place for things like major events and for example, concerts, football matches in Manchester and other places. How can we use digital to give us the insights and then the way to influence that, the behavior? Is there opportunity with digital data to help us develop real-time prediction tools so that we can game out what potential scenario could be and have ready to go disruption plans in place to support operations to improve that seamless multimodal transport offering? I think I just want to reinforce the fact that we're not trying to just improve the operation of the road itself. It's very much around how do we improve the customer experience and how they move around. And as I say, there's new ideas around policy at the moment that we're exploring that it relates to kind of using traffic signal interventions. For example, we're piloting things at the moment around how do we improve pedestrian movement and people walking around the city. Could we give them more green time? Is there other solutions that we could utilize? So again, it's about looking at digital things that really change that behavior. And then finally, one of the key areas that we are hoping partners can help us solve is around how these data can be consolidated either into a visual single representation of movement around our city, such as a digital twin, and what that can then do to support us in terms of real-time and near-time operation. So just to kind of recap, there's a lot of different things we could do, but some of the high-level kind of success measures are around things such as improving our bus journey reliability. Currently, only 70% of our buses are on time, and now is within our control. We have opportunity to change some of the operational measures as well as our network management measures to improve that reliability, because that's one of the key pain points that our customer have. How do we improve the highways journey time? How do we reduce average delay for customers? And then the last one I just kind of want to throw in is safety is quite a big priority for a lot of our customers, but it's very hard to determine how do we increase that perception of safety. So it'll be interesting to hear from partners in terms of how data could be used to inform a perception of safety program or activities to really help us improve the service provision as well as how people move around on our network. So I will pause there, but look forward to kind of your questions.
Sam, thank you for your explanation. Great to get to know more on the Greater Manchester Challenge. I can already see some questions coming from our participants in the Q&A box. Questions for Aros, for Belgrade, and already for you, Sam, as well, for Greater Manchester. So please feel free to address them in writing if you want. If not, we will go to them at the end of the session. But I see our participants' interest in the challenges. So please feel free. Always for our participants, please remember to address them to specific cities. So put the city name. Thank you very much for that. And now we are traveling to Germany. So we have Mannheim, representative from Mannheim with us, Philip, that will explain us a bit more on their challenge. So Philip, please go ahead.
Thank you, Natalia. Hello from Mannheim, everyone. I'm glad to be here. So I work for the city as the local Green Deal manager for sustainable and smart mobility. Mannheim is a city in the southwest of Germany. We have about 320,000 inhabitants. And our challenge is framed around facilitating shared parking. So if you could go to the next slide, please. As many of you from other cities probably also know, public spaces often experience significant parking pressure, especially in densely populated areas. And of course, that leads to reduced accessibility of these spaces for other citizens. It also leads to increased traffic. And at the same time, many privately owned parking spaces often remain unused for a large share of the day, be it parking spaces owned by private individuals or company parking lots outside of the working hours, supermarket lots outside of opening hours. And what our challenge is framed around is really how we can effectively bring together the demand for parking space with the currently underutilized offer of privately owned parking spaces. And solutions could really be manifold. They could leverage digital tools. We also thought about like a platform of bringing together demand and offer in this context. And of course, it will also be around monitoring the availabilities and the demand in different areas. We also identified some parts of the city that might be particularly suitable or that might be in particular need for a solution that reduces parking pressure in public areas. Important to note is that this challenge also aligns with the mobility frameworks in Mannheim, so we really also do have a long-term interest in that. Next slide, please. So we really hope for effectively matching, as I said, the demand and the availabilities for parking. And the main goal is to thereby reduce the parking pressure in public areas. So this is also reflected in the key indicators for success that we defined. We hope for an increased utilization of such parking spaces that are privately owned, that they have a higher occupancy rate, and then ideally to also have fewer cars parked in public areas. And this, of course, could lead to less time spent by our citizens looking for parking space, but it could also indirectly decrease emissions and reduce fuel consumption, so could really be a measure that is also benefiting the sustainability in our city. As I said, we are looking forward to get into specific talks, then also presenting the specific areas in the city that we were thinking about, and we are really looking forward to your proposals and working together with you over the next year. Thank you.
Very much, really exciting. Let's see what proposals we can get. I'm sure we can get some interesting solutions. Now we are in Montenegro, so we have Branka with us to tell us a bit more about Podgorica challenge on CO2 data collection. Branka, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Natalia. Hello from Podgorica. My name is Branka Knežević, and I'm Deputy Secretary in Secretariat for Special Planning and Sustainable Development, which is the authority within local self-government capital city Podgorica, and we are, among the other things, competent for sustainable development on local level, and we are very happy to be part of this program. Cooperation, particularly in international context, is very valuable for cities. So looking forward for this journey to continue. As almost every, or without almost city, particularly rapidly developing city, our challenge is related to traffic, and we find particularly significant to have as much as possible data on which we would base our activities, our concrete activities aimed toward improving environmental quality in Podgorica. In this case, particularly, our challenge is to collect data on CO2 emissions. Podgorica is under significant pressure coming from transport in terms of using high number of vehicles, and our streets are literally overcrowded by cars, and in the highest number of cars you can see only one person driving, and we still do not have on a high level quality enough public transport. And apart from our habits, and we are, I can say, rather spoiled people, and we like to use cars to, as I said, significant extent, even though we are improving cycling infrastructure and more people can be seen on our streets using bikes, but still it's not enough for pressure coming from traffic to be reduced, and also it's reflected in significant emissions of CO2 emissions. Podgorica, with these challenges and the goal to reduce these emissions is also related to the fact that Podgorica is member of EU Mission 100 climate neutral and smart cities by 2030. I didn't say at the beginning that Podgorica is capital of Montenegro, inhabited by almost one third of total state population, and our responsibility is being capital of the state to be, let's say, more responsible and to provide, let's say, role model to other municipalities in Podgorica. And causes, as I already mentioned, some causes of high levels of CO2 emissions are following facts. The fact that Podgorica is rapidly expanding city, that we have rapid rise in motorization level, and we are working on improvement of public transport, but still we need a larger number of bus lines, larger number of very buses, and maybe the most important thing to change our habits. And we see this data, we see them as apart from the to be based for development of concrete efficient activities. Also, we would have something concrete to tell people, see what you are doing when you use a large number of cars, when it's not always necessary, because Podgorica has rather favorable climate. We do have really warm summers, but on the other hand, our winters are not that severe. It's rarely below zero. So, and also structure of the city is great to use bikes or to walk much more than we already do. So we have all preconditions to not to have this number of cars on the streets, but still we do have them. Also, we do not have data on the very flow, on the number of cars on our streets, and that's why, apart from collecting CO2 emissions data, our aim also is to install traffic count, and that would also be significant input for developing appropriate action plans with the concrete activities toward reduction of these emissions. And this is what we expect from the participation in this program, to establish a system of regular data collection and monitoring, which would result hopefully in reduction of use of private vehicles. What is one of the most important expectation is to decrease greenhouse gas emissions and to establish in the city low emission zones, which would also result in lower noise levels and traffic congestions, to include all demographic categories, and to promote other non-motorized modes of travel. We till several years ago we had really poor public transport, and it was not possible for us to, as a local self-government, to invite people not to use cars that much, because we did not have a good enough alternative. But now things are changing. We are, as I said a few times, improving public transport. So we can tell people, please do not use car that much. You have other modes of transport. But as I said, we do not have continuous concrete data on the level of CO2 emissions, and we do not have data on the number of cars on our streets. So these are the reasons why these activities are important for us, and looking forward, hopefully, to have a developed solution in terms of providing data on CO2 emissions in Podgorica and the number of vehicles on our streets. Thank you again.
Very much, Veronica. Thank you for giving us a bit more context on what Podgorica is looking for. I'm just reminding to all our participants, you can use the Q&A box to ask your questions. I can see some cities already answering the questions. We will also answer some of them at the end, but all of the cities got some additional questions. Thank you very much, Branka, again. And now we will be traveling to Poland. another
Hello.
interesting city, Poznań. Hello, Kacper. We have Kacper from the city that will tell us a bit more of the challenge, of their challenge. So, Kacper,
Thank you,
go ahead.
Natalia. Hello, everyone. And thank you for inviting us to the RAPTOR program. The Smart City team work together with the Poznań authorities.
Kacper, we can't hear you very well right now. I'm not sure if that's...
I'm not sure if I can improve it.
Maybe you can switch off your camera for a second. Let's see
Okay,
if that
I will.
sounds improve. And yeah, let's go ahead.
Is it better?
Yes, let's please try. Yeah.
Okay. So I have some basic information about Poznań. The city of Poznań has more than 500,000 citizens, while the metropolis has more than 1 million inhabitants. And if you look at the map of Europe, Poznań is located halfway between Berlin and Warsaw. Our challenge is to keep residents informed about sudden real-time changes in public transport routes. And when the tram suddenly has to take a different route, residents are not properly informed. When a tram does not arrive, it frustrates residents. If they had been given the right information, they could have planned the roads differently. As you can see on this image, a red road was planned, but it has been changed to a green road because of accidents, traffic congestions, or some other reasons. This means that these tram stops at the right are not properly informed of the changes, and residents might still be waiting for a tram that actually takes a different road. Next slide. Yes, and the solution should be able to identify road changes automatically and to provide immediate notifications to users about the sudden changes, along with different alternatives, preferably shown to the Java map layer. And please, next slide. Yes, we want to use this solution via our mobile app, and there is a possibility to integrate it with our city app, which is called Smart City Poznań, and our city transport website, for example, Poznań.pl. And we also want to integrate it well with other systems that is working around the city by supporting data sharing through a publicly available app for broader application. Next slide. Yes, and what we expect the accuracy of the information provided to the users, increase the resident satisfaction, and increase the trust in local public transport. So we also see the chance that those data could be used to improve our public transport routes. And it's thank you once again, and we wish you a Merry Christmas from Poznań. That's our tram.
Yeah, that's a really nice photo of your tram. Kacper, thank you. We had some problems at the very beginning of your presentation, but I mean, as the slides were on, if the participants have questions to clarify something about the challenge, please feel free to write. I can see already some questions there, so Kacper, you can address them now or later. But thank you again, Kacper. All the participants, feel free to ask any questions to Poznań.
We are waiting for your questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now, last but not least, our destination of our trip around Europe is storage in Lithuania. We have Donatas and Simas with us that will explain us a bit more on their city challenge. So I think it will be Simas. The floor is yours.
Good day. So I'm Simas from Tauragė. Tauragė is one of the 10th city in the Lithuania. It's around 22,000 inhabitants in the city and 36 in whole district. We also are in the one of the 100 cities which are fighting with CO2 neutral city. So we are trying to make our public transport more popular to the citizens in the city and around. So we are our challenge is try to make like we have the bus stops and we have infrastructure there. It's different from bus stop to bus stop, but what we would like is just get overview of the existing bus stops infrastructure and have a database about that. And we want to prioritize bus stops by the list of the elderships and the quantity of passengers using the bus stop. That is possible to do by we have electronic ticket in the whole Tauragė district. So it's can be data can be taken from there. And we have in totally, like in the city, we have almost a little bit more than 100 bus stops in the city and around 300 bus stops in the district. Also, we have a united public transport network in the 4 municipalities around our Tauragė region. So it can be expanded and cooperating with another municipalities also. Next slide, please. So what we expecting is automatic scanning of bus stops infrastructure and detecting the problems there. Maybe it's something damaged, maybe it's something missing, maybe it's something not what's supposed to be there, and informing in the system about the problems. That information can be updated every day, once in a week. But the most important is for us to know, like, prioritized list where is the most passengers using the bus stop, and if happens problems there, so we fix there first. And yeah, optimize monitoring of our bus stops. So here is some examples of our bus stops. So we have just the sign and the timetable just next to the road and in some villages, and we have some shelters, electronic tableau, rubbish bin, and benches which can be broken, damaged, and so on. So what we're actually expecting, helping monitoring our problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another interesting challenge. Hopefully we'll have some good solutions there too. Now that was a nice and quick Euro trip around different countries. So thank you to all the city representatives again for sharing their challenges, a bit of the context. So please remember to ask your question in the Q&A box, and we will address them very soon. Some of them are already answered. So before we move to that live Q&A session, a quick reminder: tomorrow we will have more cities presenting their solutions. We will have Dublin, Gothenburg, Münster, Nantes, Nicosia, Thessaloniki, Trondheim, and Utrecht presenting tomorrow at 10 as well. So if you're interested in any of those challenges, please also come tomorrow at 10. And now, we will have time for the live Q&A session. So keep on adding your questions, and now we can also ask the cities to address them live. So I'll go. I've seen many questions to different cities. There are some that are not answered yet, so I will just take the opportunity and address them now. So there is a question to Simas Tauric. Sorry, still for my pronunciation, I need to work on that. Are you looking to scan all the bus stops? How many are they, and which area does it cover? Is there any specific area? So Simas, that's the question for Tauric.
Hello. Yes. So yeah, it's covering the whole Tauragė city and Tauragė district. So in square meters, I don't know how much we can say, but we have some public transport routes on which we have these bus stops, and the numbers of how many bus stops we have, it was included in the slide.
One more question.
And what kind of the data collection? So I cannot answer that now. We just probably looking for any solution and best ways to do that.
Thank you, Simas, for that. And there is also a question to Sam Lee. I think there is a conversation. So there is a more specific one. I don't know, Sam, if you want to address it now, or is it too specific?
I might reply in the chat because it's quite a big specific question.
Okay, so please also, other participants, you can all see the answered questions. It's a very specific one, so some will just write a message. There is another follow-up question to Taurage. If you are looking at buying the solution, if the solution provider is successful and the pilot goes well, is there any possibility to continue with the project and buying the solution? Simas, any plans on that? I mean,
yes, it is. Yes, it is, and that's why we are looking, because we're trying to test on our municipality now. And as I mentioned, we have 4 municipalities around, and we like making our public transport bus stops network connected all together. So I think it can be even expanded, like quantity of numbers and so on. So.
Thank you very much, Simas. So I guess those are the solution, the question following up. I see one more, so maybe you can address Simas by writing. We have a question to, I guess, Mannheim and Manchester about the data. So I first would go with Mannheim. So what kind of parking data are available to be used? I'm not sure you have any, Philip, but if there are any, can you please specify?
So we have some data on the parking pressure, like in percentage, how many people are looking for parking spaces in certain areas compared to how many there are. And we know that in some areas, this is above 100%. So there is more demand for parking than there is offer. Beyond that, the data collection on which exact places to use, or how the demand could also be monitored in a closer time frame, that would have to be integrated in the solution. So there's no extensive database yet on the privately owned parking spaces that could be integrated. This is something that would have to be a part of the solution. The study that has been done a few years ago on the potential of shared parking in Mannheim, that could potentially be provided to the startup or SME that we will then collaborate with. But yeah, the data collection would need to be part of the solution as well.
For that explanation. Yeah, for the Manchester as well. I know that you've already mentioned some of the data available in your challenge description, so I also refer our participants to go and read it through on the website. But yeah, if you can, Sam, add anything additional, go ahead.
I think just on the parking data side of things, we do have parking information for some of our park and ride sites, but yeah, there has been attempt at building a consolidated kind of parking data in a common location from the UK government called the National Parking Platform, but it's still an ongoing kind of task around parking data.
About public transport data.
Yeah, I think I covered it in some of the responses.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So please, for our participants, go ahead and go through the answered list, as well as we cannot read them all, and the answers are detailed. So let me check if there is any other interesting question that was not addressed yet. So there is a question for Arus, I can see. Is the city open to a solution that would provide availability data for both disabled parking spaces and regular spaces? I can also already address the second part of this question, is about the budget and timeline. So RAPTOR project is 6 months project, and we provide as a EIT Urban Mobility funding for this pilot of 40,000 euros. So that just to second part, and then Gustav, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. No, we are only looking for the disabled parking in this pilot project, and to see if that's something that we want to continue with. We don't have any wayfinding system for on-street parking yet, but this pilot could also be a test of how would it actually work when we're working on specific parking spaces instead of areas that we are normally working with. So using this pilot with the disabled parking spots for disabled people could move us in a direction where we want to unfold a parking guidance system for everybody.
Another question is for Poznan and Kacper. Do you also want to notify user about overcrowded buses or just route deviation and accidents?
Yes. Yes. I think that such an information will be also very satisfying for our residents. And we have some information about the overcrowded buses, but I'm not sure if in every bus, I guess. So the integration could be we can integrate it, but I had to talk with a public transport authority if we have a whole amount of information to do this. And I will respond to this question also.
Great, thank you, Kacper.
Thank you.
Quick overview. There's one more question to Philip Mannheim. Are you open to solutions for on-street parking in public spaces as well, or just for private parking facilities?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So we already do have solutions for parking in public spaces. There is, there's solutions in place. So this would really be focused on private areas, because it's just a matter of capacity in the public space that we are reaching the limits, and it would be helpful to integrate the vacant private parking space. And regarding the timeline, Natalia already laid out the timeline for this project. And as I said, this facilitation of shared parking is also part of our mobility framework. So we also have a long-term interest in this.
From the previous questions, for example, for Podgorica, there is a question about the location of that the city targets. I know that Branka already typed it, but maybe you want to add something. From my side, I would add that all the participants are free to propose the scope of their pilot. I mean, it always depends on the solution or how easy it is to deploy it in the city, and within the budget and time frame, what is feasible. But Branka, do you have specific parts of the city that you would like to cover with this project?
Well, I replied that we would like that to be on most frequent, on the locations that are under the most under the highest rate of car usage, even though it's obvious that they're under the most severe pressure, just to obtain to which extent these emissions are above the limited values on one hand, and as I said, not to scare people, just to show them, see what's going on when we have that many cars on the street. But on the other hand, it would be also good to have data from some other locations that are not on under such severe pressure, just in order to compare them, to see what the differences are. And for us, it maybe look like, okay, my one car will not make some significant difference, but I think when you have exact data with not so many talking, just to say, see, these are the results, On the other hand, we have another results, and so let's make difference. Of course, as I said already, we need to provide alternative, and to say you have bus lines going there, you do not have to use cars that much. And also it's really significant on a different location, on a number of locations. Podgorica is transit. Also, that's why we also have significant number of cars, even though we are building roundabouts and trying to not to have that many cars to the city, and that's why we need the data on a number of cars also. That would be really, really useful. And also it's up to, we are also open to proposals. It's up to the subject who will develop solution to propose something that is maybe better than our perspective is.
It's good to have more context. There's one new question again for Branka. So how many sensors does the city ambition to install during the project? I think it depends a bit on the kind of sensor, on the requirements and scope, but was there any infrastructure access anticipated to install sensors?
It depends. It depends on the sensors. Public lighting is under our competencies. If so, this kind of infrastructure could be used. We have good cooperation also with some state authorities. So if something is under their competencies in terms of existing infrastructure to be used for this kind of sensors, we can also arrange that. It as you said already, depends on the type of sensors. For so far, we only had, for the purpose of developing one document, sustainable urban transport plan. It was only done this counting of cars, but it's not something that is continuous, only used for the purpose of that document, and that was all. And it also showed significant usage of cars with usually 1 or 2 persons per car.
There are some questions that you're already answering, some of our city representatives answering in writing, some follow-up questions for Kacper, so I will let you answer in the chat. There were some at the very beginning of our session. There were some questions to Belgrade. I don't know, Dalibor, if you're still with us and you could address. There was a question regarding if the area that we are talking about for the challenge is car-free area.
Yes, actually, I've seen that Ogyen already replied to this. So it's a car-free, very just some kind of deliveries. So with some vehicles with a limited speed. So yeah, it's totally car-free.
That's great. Now we still have some minutes. If you have your questions, please feel free to write them in our chat box. I know the city representative have been very actively answering them during the session, so that's also great. But it's a very good opportunity for you to get to know better what the cities are looking for. So
Natalia, I just
yes.
wanted to, hi everyone, I'm from EIT, just on backup. I just wanted to suggest a question because I saw the topic of the budget has come up a couple of times. So maybe now we've heard the city challenges, if you could just reiterate like the RAPTOR budget and the RAPTOR timeline in terms of the scope for the projects that should be proposed, because they're all on the same timeline and budget, in fact.
Yes, Taylor, thank you so much. So yes, we are talking here about the pilot project within the RAPTOR. So EIT Urban Mobility is providing 40,000 euros of funding for a pilot. The project will take 6 months, and we are requiring at least 2 weeks of in situ demonstration. So obviously it depends on the type of solutions that will be chosen for each of the cities, but it should be tested in situ for at least 2 weeks. Usually it's longer because it makes sense for both for the city and for the startup, but it depends if that's a hardware or that's a software solution. So obviously, please feel free to propose whatever is feasible in the sense of testing your own solution, on the cost of this testing, of the cost of adjusting the solution to the city needs. So please feel free to make sure you detail your project well in your submission, so everyone that is involved in the evaluation process can understand well what you are proposing, what you're proposing to test, what will be the results of your testing. So the scope is a bit on you, but now you know more from the city side what they're expecting as well. So we need to meet somewhere in between the budget available, but also what the city would like to test and see, because later on, obviously, if there is a opportunity, we would like to, scale those solutions and work on the further ways of collaborating. However, I mean, here within the framework of RAPTOR, we are talking about the pilot projects that will end on the 30th of November. So that's from my side. I don't know if any new questions are coming. If not, no. If not, I think we've already addressed all of them. There are some follow-ups still for Sam. I don't know if Sam, you've seen it, but I think it's been quite a good conversation with some of the potential solution provider. So I think for the moment being, we are good with the question. Thank you all for joining this session. It was great to have you all from the city sides, all the city representatives. Thank you for presenting your solution. And thank you all participants interested in hearing a bit more of the context of the solutions. As I mentioned, we've recorded that session and it should be available very soon on the RAPTOR website, so you can always go back. If you have any questions, please contact us on the Agile Innovation team at eiturbanmobility.eu. If you have specific questions for cities, also please address them to us. We will be centralizing the communication, but please also do check the website where the cities described well their challenges. There's some other information. And then, if you have any question, you can always come back. And we are happy to support you on every step of the participation. And as I mentioned, RAPTOR is open until 12th of February, so there is a plenty of time, but don't wait till the end to apply. And it was great to have you all here. So thank you again and have a good day.